Wrenchbench podcast, episode
Wrench.
1.
Give you an idea of who we are. My name's Mark.
My name is Charles.
And we just love bikes. Probably like what you guys love. And today we wanted to talk about the Sram Maven brakes.
They've been out for, what, a year and a half now?
Like February, 2024?
Yeah, about then.
And I think they first released the Ultimate limited edition one, which was the red edition.
They did. Limited to, 5 per shop? So they were like limited edition.
Yeah, they sold out pretty quick. And right away, extremely impressed by the brake. Of course, it's very powerful.
Incredible.
Yes. I think they said it was 30% more powerful than the codes.
Actually, the way if I remember correctly, they were saying you needed 30% less power, like braking power from your finger, but they're 50% more powerful than the previous flagship, which was the code RSCs.
Yes. I thought the RSCs were pretty good.
Yeah, the RSCs are already through the roof. Like, I didn't have any issues with them. And then SRAM released the Mavens and then just blew pretty much everything out of the water, it feels like.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were shocked by that with how powerful they are. And that, I know you and I have kind of said this, is like they're sometimes a little too powerful, I think.
Yeah.
In ways. I was riding with you, and I will say that I went down a little bit because I tapped the brake a little too hard, and it just bites. It just bites so dang good.
It does. It's funny. There's been a lot of, let's say, kind of mixed reviews about the Mavens. No one's disputing the fact that they are powerful, but some people are, in fact, kind of complaining about the fact that they might be a little bit too powerful, like Mark was just saying.
Right. Yeah, there's a couple ways you can go about it, too, is making sure SRAM actually did say to go with your smallest rotor. I was reading up on that, too, and they were like, try to go with your smallest rotor on that. Just make sure you can not, have a little less power to it.
Exactly. Start with the smallest rotor and then slowly work your way up until where you're comfortable with it, which honestly isn't a bad idea because my first experience with the Mavens, I kind of had the same start. I didn't go down, but I did 25, almost 30 miles. And the entire time I was like locking up the wheel the entire time, just trying to feather the brake. So they definitely take a little bit of getting used to, but I love them. Yeah,
no modulation, that's for sure. So whoever says there's modulation in those brakes.
Pull up the paper.
Our chart?
Yes, the chart.
You want the chart? These are SRAM documents.
These are highly technical diagrams.
This is detailed data right here.
It is. So if we see here, normal brakes is a non-progressive or a linear power flow, meaning the more you pull the brake, the more braking power you get, obviously, which is what you expect. But here on the Mavens, I don't know if you guys can see this at all. Let me just show you guys. It's what SRAM is designed to be more of a progressive brake feel, meaning the more you pull, obviously you're going to get more brake power like any other brake on the planet. But instead of just being a linear where it just goes in a straight line, it'll slowly start to curve, as you can see right there. Super, super technical.
It's extremely powerful.
So SRAM says it's more progressive than their previous brakes. Real world, I'm not super sure about that, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I think I'm used to them now.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm not gonna lie. I remember that first time I rode the Levo, and I was like, I actually didn't want to ride the Levo.
Yeah, no, we were out riding. I was on one of the new Specialized Gen 4 Levos that come with the Mavens. I was riding around. Mark was on a different bike, and he wanted to take it for a spin because it's a new bike. Everyone wants to ride it. He rode it for maybe 50 yards, and nope, I don't want to do it.
I mean, we were jumping and stuff, and so, like, I need to use brakes and stuff.
That is true.
Quite a bit. Right away, first time using these brakes, it was, like, right at the get-go, so, like, it was kind of, like, a shocker. Because usually on what do I have on my...
You got codes.
I've got codes. I can't remember what level they are, but...
I think they're RCs, because it's the expert.
It was kind of like a limited... Not really a limited edition code. It was this odd generation of code that is styled different because they were switching over to mineral fluid, which is another thing to talk about with the Mavens.
Yep. This is the first time SRAM has used mineral fluid instead of the old dot fluid standard in any of the brakes. So they now have the Mavens, the Motives, completely different brake. I know it's pretty much the same name. It's confusing. Confuses us too.
Yep.
And then they have the DB series. They've got the DB3, the DB4, the DB4 and the DB8 and a DB2, I think. I think it's factors of like 2.
But they don't have, they used, originally when they launched the Mavens, it was the bronze, silver, and then the ultimate. Now the bronze is gone.
Yep.
It's to your base model. That's what it's called, the base, which I think is the exact same thing as the bronze. So I'm not sure why
pretty much the same thing.
What they had in mind with that. I think they lowered the pricing on that one. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But
as you'd expect, when you go from the base model up to the silver model and then up to the ultimate model, the price goes up, but a lot of the performance actually stays relatively the same. However, when you move up the line, when you're getting up to that silver level and then the ultimate level, you've got a little bit more adjustment.
The ultimate's it will come with titanium hardware too.
Oh, do they? I didn't even know that.
So it'll come with titanium hardware, a little bit more polished look all around, right? Make it a little bit fancier so it looks cooler on your bike.
Mm-hmm.
You can get the limited editions like what you got on your Canyon.
I was actually looking at them. It's a limited edition, but SRAM marketed it as like an expert box. So they had I think they called it the expert series of the Mavens and then the Motives. Not really talking about the Motives in this podcast, but the Motives are SRAM's new cross-country brake, 4-piston cross-country brake. Also super, super powerful, but just as light as the old level series brakes.
Right. I won't go into depth on those Motives, but I will say for an XC bike, it could perform as a trail bike.
Oh, yeah.
Like as a trail brake, which is pretty incredible. It's strong. They're strong. It's crazy.
Is pretty incredible. Some other things we kind of wanted to talk about is, let's see here. The design of the Mavens. Obviously, the form factor is going to be pretty similar across the board, like whether you go with SRAM or Shimano or Hope or whatever. It's all going to be relatively the same, but SRAM has actually decided to take a slightly different approach on the Maven specifically. If you take a look at them, and I'm sure we'll show you guys some footage of the Mavens, it's just a hunk of aluminum. It is bulky. I'm not going to lie. The caliper is pretty bulky, but SRAM actually did that for a purpose, Mark.
Stiffness is one of them.
Stiffness,
too.
Yep. They've got a new 4-bolt body ket design, so it's way stiffer, especially under hard braking. And another one is heat dissipation, or actually the lack thereof. SRAM Maven brakes are designed to work at a certain temperature, but because that caliper is such a big hulk of aluminum, takes a while to heat up to that operating temperature, and it also takes a while to cool down. Essentially, so SRAM did that on purpose to kind of eliminate the peaks and the valleys of like hard braking, and then you got a little bit of an up, and then your brakes will kind of just start to automatically just cool down, and it kind of leads to, what's the word I'm looking for?
Consistency.
Yes, inconsistent braking on past generations, whereas these are designed to kind of get hot and then stay hot. Now, they do have some features for when they get too hot. I can't remember the word right now.
Fading.
No, for heat dissipation. So they do have heat dissipation built in to when it gets too hot, but it's designed to get hot, and then stay around that operating temperature. That way you're going to get way, way more consistent braking from the SRAM Mavens, which I found pretty cool, actually.
I haven't ridden them enough to can say much about that part of it, but all around, it's probably because when I've ridden them, it's been cool, so we'll have a bigger bite. And that's why I'm like, holy crap, like it's too much sometimes.
It does, yep. Like we've already mentioned, it does take some getting used to, but I've raced the entire season on the Mavens now. And now that I'm used to them, incredible. Like you could just beat on them all day. And like I said, they'll get hot and then they'll stay hot. That way, it's just super consistent braking because it's designed to operate at that temperature. So it's not going to, cool down and then feel different and then get super hot and then feel different. It just stays roughly the same temperature and then just feels amazing.
Actually, going kind of to the Motives, I will say, since the Motives are a mineral and based off of the Mavens, I do see that with those Motives. That's it. But we'll get into that on another one. We'll definitely dig into those because those are a really fantastic brake that I think is well worth upgrading to. But the Mavens all around, I mean, all around, what is your opinion on them?
All around, I'm a fan of them. The styling, the power, the modulation. I'm actually kind of in the minority here when I don't love a whole lot of modulation on my brakes. Now, to a certain extent, obviously you're going to want to modulate. You don't want just an on-off switch, but I do like a rapid ramp up of the braking power, and these Mavens really do deliver on that. So for me, especially where I don't love as much modulation as the average rider, Mavens are even better for me. Even though SRAM says they modulate better, I've found them a fan. And then another thing is braking material as well. They've got their sintered pads and then their organic pads. And this isn't super like revolutionary stuff from SRAM. You got your organic pads. They're going to be quiet. They're going to be more modulative. I don't know if that's a word. We're going to pretend like it is. You can modulate them more. They're quieter, but they wear out a little bit faster. And then they got their sintered pads or their metallic. They're going to be a lot bitier, a little bit louder, but they're going to last a little bit longer. Pretty much standard stuff. So SRAM includes in some of their kits different brake pads as well. You've got your organic pads and your sintered pads. So you can kind of customize your Mavens to how you feel, like how you want them to feel.
I think they're great. I approve of them. I haven't ridden them nearly as much as what I wanted to, but for what I have ridden, I love them. I think SRAM does a great job all around. I think it's really funny how the industry, like on a consumer level, like they're like consumers are like, we want more power, and SRAM like delivered that, and then it's like, no, it's too much power.
Yep, now they're scared.
So now they're scared. Like we've had customers come in that are actually scared of these brakes. Truly, scared.
Yep, we'll be talking them up,
and we'll want to swap them out.
Yep.
It's like that's pretty crazy to think that a mountain bike brake is too powerful.
That brings me on to my next point. Are they too powerful for your average rider? Now, me and you, not going to say we're professionals in any way, but we've had some experience riding a lot of different bikes, a lot of different brakes. And for me personally, like I said, I've already ridden these for an entire season, doing downhill, not cross country, all sorts of riding. But for your average rider, they're just kind of starting to get into mountain biking. They don't have nearly as much brake control as we might have. Are they too powerful? Has SRAM crossed the line and then made them too powerful?
I kind of think so. For your average rider, I kind of think so. Because I think the instinct for every rider, beginner rider, is to just pull the brake as hard as they can. So no matter what, they're going to lock up. Yeah. Easily. Now, like for me and you, for sure, I'm fine with that. Oh, I got used to it pretty quick. First, hated it, but I will say I do like the modulation in my codes. I do like those. I do like the little bit of a ramp up that it has to it, or consistency to it. But yeah, I think in the end, the performance of the Mavens, of their consistency, is what I do like. Because the Motives do have that same feel, and I love that a lot. So the consistency all around is far better, because I noticed that those codes on my Levo, over a period of descending, they would start to be pretty inconsistent with how they would start to fade out. And it was like, oh crap, I do need a little bit more power here. And it just couldn't perform the way it needed to. But my Maven or my Motives outperform those in any day, in any situation.
So you're saying your Motives, which are SRAM's cross-country brake, is outperforming your codes, which is SRAM's previous kind of enduro brake.
I do believe that.
Wow,
I believe it is, because I mean they've designed them to want to do that a little bit more.
It's pretty impressive. Another thing I wanted to talk about is now that SRAM's kind of up in their game in the brake field, albeit previous years, maybe some of their brakes, like their guides, I believe, not exactly phenomenal reviews. People don't exactly love them. Now that SRAM's kind of up to their game a little bit, how do you think they compare to like the Shimano Saints, for example, or some of these other heavy hitters in the brake industry?
That's a great question, because I haven't ridden the Saints, but I've ridden a lot of their cross-country, Shimano's cross-country ones, their XTs, their XTRs, and their SLX. What I will say between those three is that those three do tend to have a great feel all around. I do like the feel of Shimano's. The thing that I've had with Shimano's in the past is that you have to bleed them a lot. And that also leads to the other thing with the Mavens, is because I think it's mineral oil. I think mineral oil just tends to need to be bled more often.
Yes.
It feels like that.
This is one thing we've noticed working at a bike shop is haven't had the most stellar record in terms of holding a bleed. I've noticed this on customers' bike. I've noticed this on my own Mavens, is they do need to be bled a little bit more often, which is weird because dot fluid, like on paper, mineral oil is not, I forget the word. Essentially, one of the biggest differences between mineral oil and dot fluid, other than all the other things, is dot fluid actually absorbs some moisture out of the air. And then that can kind of lead to some of the negative effects of the dot fluid, other than like it disintegrating stuff, being harmful, all that good stuff. It'll absorb moisture out of the air, and then you're going to have water in your brake lines. Whereas mineral oil doesn't do that. So supposedly mineral oil should be the better option because it doesn't absorb that moisture and it doesn't really give you that opportunity to accidentally introduce moisture or oxygen or air into the line as you're bleeding it.
Yeah, it's weird. I've had a lot of XTR and XT, same with the SLX line, and they've all been the same thing. Whereas I did have a SRAM level ultimate, and for 3 years it never needed to be bled. And I put about probably close to 8,000, almost 10,000 miles on it, which that sounds like quite a bit, and it is. But it was crazy. It was really weird why those brakes never needed to be bled, and they were perfect.
I've actually noticed the same thing on my old level ultimates. Is I think I might have bled them once in the time I owned the bike, and that's just because I was bored.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know why that brake line did so well with holding up. It's just I don't know, just the bleed.
It was watertight, or I guess airtight.
Airtight, watertight. I don't know. Just great. So there's pros and cons with all the brakes that we come across.
Absolutely.
For sure.
So I guess my question to you guys is, if you guys have ridden the SRAM Mavens, or I guess the Motives, what do you guys think about them? Or even the DBs lineup, the DB8, the DB4s. What do you guys think of them? Are they too powerful? Have you had any issues with them holding their bleed very well? Do you like them? Do you like the way they look? Let us know what you guys think.
Yeah. Are you a SRAM fan or Shimano fan?
That's the question. That's the question.
Are you SRAM or Shimano? Do you like the ability to bleed your brakes far easier? SRAMs are way better. I think so. Shimano.
You might get in some fire for that one. Some people love their Shimanos.
I know they do. It's 50-50 out there, but I'm a SRAM guy.
I am too.
I like SRAM. Again, what do you guys think? Are you team SRAM or team Shimano?
All right. I think that's just about all the time we have right now. Yeah. This has been episode 1 of the Wrenchbench with Mark and Charles, and I guess we'll see you guys next time.
We'll see you later.
Peace.